Welcome to the Mitch Zone on WPCX 97.1 FM. Here's your host, Mitchell Mercer.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Mitch Zone here on WPCX 97.1 FM, where we talk about all the latest sports news and PC athletic news occurring throughout the country. My name is Mitchell Mercer, and today we are going to be talking about new Presbyterian College football coach Kevin Kelley and see if he can win in Clinton, South Carolina with his new football program. And we are also going to talk about the impact of PC's baseball program making the NCAA Baseball Tournament back in the summer. But before we get started with all those topics, I do want to provide a friendly reminder that none of the ideas expressed in the show are ideas of the school or faculty alike. Everything discussed in these shows are in line with the Title IX, the Garrett Book, and the law. All of the ideas expressed today are conceived by the students themselves, have no affiliation with any anti-government or xenophobic groups. Now with that out of the way, I want to welcome you again to the Mitch Zone here on WPCX 97.1 FM here in Clinton, South Carolina. And it's really good to talk with you guys again. As you can see, we are not at Presbyterian College right now. We're actually back in my room. You know, I've been packing a lot. I move in this Friday, getting everything settled. I know the last time we talked, I actually became the station manager of WPCX right now. And I've been working a little bit on some things with the station, get everything that settled. But, you know, it's great to talk with you guys again. Obviously, a lot of sports news have been occurring. Before I moved back on campus, I really wanted, to get like an episode talking about some of the sports news and recaps occurring throughout the summer. And with that being said, I mean, a good way to start is talking about new Presbyterian College football coach Kevin Kelley. And I don't think the last time I did this show, I talked about Kevin Kelley. I know we talked about Tommy Spangler getting fired from PC, but obviously Kevin Kelley has come into the reins as the new Blue Hills head coach. And let's go ahead and talk about Kevin Kelley himself. Like I said, new football coach for Presbyterian College. It's the 16th head coach in PC's history, and he's entering his first season coming from Pulaski Academy, a private high school near Little Rock, Arkansas. And he had a lot of success at Pulaski Academy, going 2-16, 29-1 during his high school career. He has won 9 state championships and was named USA Today's High School Sports Coach of the Year in 2016. But in addition to his success, also well known for rarely putting the football and going for every 2-point conversion after a touchdown and going for onside kicks most of the time. Definitely a different philosophy of football that not a lot of coaches use. So it's definitely very interesting to see Coach Kelley use this type of offense. But, it has transitioned to a lot of success for him. Multiple state championships, a lot of great players going to college in the NFL. He's won a lot of games. So it has worked out in his favor. And one famous player that has played for Kevin Kelley has been current New England Patriots tight end Hunter Henry. There's also 2 well-known coaches that have high regards for Kevin Kelley, and that is New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick and current UCF Knights head coach Gus Malzahn, who was previously at Auburn University. So Kevin Kelley has been pretty popular in the football world in terms of his success and his philosophy. Now, the big thing with this hire is, can he win at PC? And when I think about Kevin Kelley at PC, I usually get 2 thoughts to my mind. Number one, with his philosophy of football, let's go with the Kelley option. He goes for onside kicks, he never punts, and he goes for 2-point conversions after touchdown. And I was talking to a PC football player over the summer who is not on the active roster right now. I mean, he was talking about how Kevin Kelley is going to go ahead and put this philosophy into place at PC. And when I'm thinking about his philosophy, I think about 2 things. One, if this works out really well, then I kind of expect a lot of other coaches across the country, to implement his new philosophy. And I believe, it can work out really well. You think about some of these philosophies in football. You get the air raid offense, West Coast offense, the triple option. Let's just call Kevin Kelley's philosophy the Kelley option. And if the Kelley option works out, then I think PC is going to have a lot of relevance to his name, and I think Kevin Kelley is going to get widely acclaimed for his accomplishments. But the downside with this is this: if this works out miserably, it's one of those things that may blow up in PC's face. And I think Kevin Kelley's a smart man, but I'll be honest, I have my doubts about putting this style of football into the college game because high school football and college football are different. Same with college and the NFL. It's just a different style of football. There's a lot of different players, and And, looking at PC's program transitioning, since 2006, the Blue Hills has had a combined record of 31-82, which adds up to a winning percentage of .378%. And as a result, support has dropped dramatically, and the college made a decision a few years back to move to Pioneer League for football, which means that PC's program does have non-scholarship. Now, I will say at Pulaski Academy, students had to pay to come to school for their education and play football. So, I do give PC props for trying to find a guy that has experience having a successful football program with non-scholarships, kind of similar to Pulaski Academy, but still, even with the non-scholarship, PC may be the toughest job in all of football, college football. And, it really hurts me, and definitely in terms of recruiting, because, you look at PC, the Southeast is kind of like their main emphasis on getting a lot of these players. And now, with no non-scholarship, it kind of limits their options. And then, in addition, whenever there's a new coach, he's going to want to bring in his own players. He wants to bring their own philosophies. And with that, a lot of players from past season have left the program. And some of the notable names have been Keith Peterson, who graduated. Kobe Campbell's a graduate transfer at Duke. Luke Foster's a graduate transfer at Temple. Jeffrey Smith is gone. Jared Cedar is gone. So you do lose some of your top playmakers. But I will say, I do think looking at this PC roster, there are some talented players that can step up. And then when I look at Kevin Kelley's hire at coordinators, I do think he did a really good job. And the first one with the offensive coordinator is Joey Orrick. Last year I thought, considering the options that PC had on the offensive side of football, I thought he did really good. I thought, quarterback play was well, wide receivers played well. Running game was a little bit up and down, but, I do think he had some talent at running back. The only weakness was the offensive line, but I do think, you do have some players coming back, which, I think helps, because you get some of that experience in the game room and on the football field. And I do think it was smart of Kelley, too, because, coming from the high school to the college game, there's a lot of differences. You got recruiting, you got to deal with a whole lot of different players. There's some players that, may not know, and keeping a guy like Joey Orrick, I think that's really helps because, you have some of that familiarity with the PC football program, and I think that really helps overall. And then on the defensive side, he has Jeff O'Mara as defensive coordinator, who comes, from the NFL, previously an analyst at Vanderbilt under Derek Mason. And looking at Jeff O'Mara's career, I think he did a really good job at the NFL level. He had a lot of his coaching career in Minnesota with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer's one of the best defensive coaches in football, and he did a really good job on the defensive side of football. Coach Heath Farwell, Chad Greenway, E.J. Henderson, guys who made a Pro Bowl and got all pro selections, and guys that really benefited Minnesota's defense as being one of the top in the NFL. He also coached with Carolina Panthers under Ron Rivera, who had, for most of his years, Ron Rivera had a really good defense. And then, Jeff O'Mara primarily coached defensive backs for the Carolina Panthers, and he did a really good job with the defensive backs unit. James Bradbury, Dante Jackson, Captain Munnerlyn, guys that played really well for the Carolina secondary, considering at the time, the Panthers were in the NFC South, and you have three really good receivers in that division. Michael Thomas of New Orleans, Mike Evans of Tampa Bay, Julio Jones, even though he left for Tennessee in the offseason, a guy who been very beneficial for the Falcons offense over the past several seasons. And considering all that, he did really good, with the Carolina Panthers in that division. And then, he also spent time with the Los Angeles Rams in the first season. Coach Alec Ogletree to some really good high performance level on the football field as well. So he has been really known for coaching guys up on the defensive side, and I think that really helps PC's program, because even though the Blue Hills has struggled a lot, the past couple of seasons they are really well known for having really good defenses all of FCS football. So I think having a good guy like Jeff O'Mara, and I know Vanderbilt's a tough job, but being with Derek Mason, who's again another smart defensive coach, I think that really helps PC on the defensive side of football. Now, how can Kevin Kelley win at PC? I think there are three ways he has to win at PC. One, he's got to do more with less. Two, I think he got to build a program. And three, he's got to bring excitement. I mean, those are the three ways I think he has to win at this program. And then let's just start, with more with less. And what I mean by more with less is, you got to do more with the less talent you have. Because let's face it, PC, it's a really tough job as it is right now. You don't have a lot of talent. on the football roster. I'm not trying to be harsh on the players, but you don't, in terms of the number of roster players, the talent level is not as strong as other programs, even in the Pioneer Football League. So that's what I kind of mean more with less. And then in terms of the Southeast, let's kind of look at some of the states that PC surrounds, because look, I do believe Kevin Kelley can get good players in the Southeast. There's a lot of really good football players that even don't get Division I offers or don't play in the NFL that have to go to Division II to Division III, the junior college route. There's a lot of really good players around the Southeast, and what I like to call the I-95 plan. And for my geography experts listening, Interstate 95 goes down the east coast of the United States, and that's an area filled with a lot of high school football players. And really, with kind of like the I-95 corridor, a lot of PC's student population is from around that corridor as well. And let's start, with the I-95 plan, which I call it, because, I think that's the area PC has to get a majority of its players to win. I think down Virginia, down to Florida. Now, you do have Tennessee and Alabama. Those are two states that have some good high school football programs that you can recruit. And considering Kevin Kelley was at Pulaski Academy in Arkansas borders Tennessee, so he probably has some connections right there. But really, you want to focus on Virginia down to Florida and try to build some of those connections with those high school football programs, because there's a lot of really good high school talent. And, let's go ahead and start in Virginia. And there's one area in Pacific in Virginia, it's called a DMV, basically Northern Virginia. Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia. And the reason why I kind of put that as a main emphasis, and look, there's other areas in Virginia, the 757, Richmond, Roanoke. You have good areas in Virginia, but really Northern Virginia is kind of the main difference maker, because that's one of the fastest scoring areas in the United States. You have a lot of great high school football talent. A lot of people are moving in. That's a really, really big area. And then there's been a lot of nationally ranked high school football players in that state, and a lot of small private schools that produce a lot of state championships. And I do know there's some PC students and athletes that are from the Northern Virginia, Fairfax, Arlington, King George counties of the Commonwealth, because Virginia is called the Commonwealth. But you get my point. There's a lot of really good high school football players in the Northern Virginia suburbs. And now, switching down to the Carolinas, North Carolina, again, one of the fastest scoring states across the country. A lot of people are moving to Charlotte, Raleigh, Mecklenburg counties, which they are located. A lot of really good high school football programs. A lot of programs, college football programs, recruit North Carolina nationally and every year. That's a really good state with a lot of players. And, with Charlotte, kind of being one of those key areas for PC, not for student athletes, but for students in general, and some, which they are originally from when it comes to PC, that's an area that, has some really good players. And then, I'll get to South Carolina in a second, but going to Georgia, again, Georgia is a little bit bigger than North Carolina. It's really kind of not the same, but I'm not saying that it's a bad way, it's a good way, because actually Georgia is probably, in my opinion, the best high school football talent level in the country. Lots of really good high school football players that go to the college and the NFL ranks, and particularly the main areas, the Atlanta suburbs. A lot of really good high school football programs annually that compete, that sends a lot of players out, and really a lot of players, that can really help PC, become a really good football program. Now, the thing with Georgia is evaluate well, because, there's some guys that are hit and miss, but, I do think if you get some strong talent evaluators in the state of Georgia, I think that can play well in PC's favor. And then you go down to the state of Florida, kind of similar to Georgia, really known for high school football talent, especially in the Miami-Dade County area. A lot of really good established high school football programs in that state. Now look, and it kind of leads you back to South Carolina. Now, I know South Carolina has less population than those states I mentioned, but I will say it's a very underrated state for a lot of really good players. And there's two areas particularly, York County. If you don't know where York County is, it's basically south of Charlotte. And that's an area of the state of South Carolina that has grown very massively. I'm talking about two areas specifically, Rock Hill and Fort Mill. Rock Hill is known as Football City, USA. Three really good football programs in that city. South Point High School has won multiple state championships, produced a lot of really good NFL players. Northwestern historically has been really good. Rock Hill in times have had really good programs as well. And then Fort Mill, is one of the fastest growing cities, like I mentioned. And if you look at 24/7 Sports, if you check the recruiting rankings, there's two quarterbacks that play in the Fort Mill School District high schools. Basically, one of the top recruits nationally, in the upcoming high school football classes, and there's a lot of other players that are getting Division I offers as well. So Fort Mill is kind of a growing area as well. Kind of similar to Greenville, Spartanburg. There's a lot of really good high school football programs as well. Kind of similar to the Rock Hill, Fort Mill area. And throughout South Carolina, you also got some really good areas. I mean, I know Columbia is kind of considered like a basketball recruiting stop, but there's some really good programs down there. Dutch Fork, River Bluff, some of those schools as well. You look at Myrtle Beach, Conway, Myrtle Beach High School, North Myrtle Beach, really good areas as well. Down in Charleston, you got Goose Creek, you got Somerville, and if you want to be more close to PC, I mean, look at kind of two of the closest cities near PC. Lawrence, I know that's a small town, but that school does have a history of sending players to the Division I level. Greenwood is really good as well. And, I'll give you 3 examples. John McKiskett, he has the most wins all time in high school ranks, high school football, most victories all time. He coached at Somerville High School. He's from that area. Josh Norman, if you're a Carolina Panther fan, helped the Panthers go to the Super Bowl a few years back. Robert Burks, if you're a Packers fan, played really well, for the Packers, for that Super Bowl win when they had their quarterback, and he's also in the team's Hall of Fame. Luke Ford is the number one, who plays at Auburn. So you do have some good guys, from Greenwood that, can really help PC. Now look, PC's not going to get the 5, 4-star, even, a bunk of the 3-star recruits, but, you do have a starting point that you can get good players, from those areas that can really help your program. And like I said, you got to emphasize the scouting, and you got to emphasize the talent evaluations if you want to get back to, having a winning program and trying to bring excitement to the program. And it's kind of like what, the most recent Hall of Fame coach who got inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Jamie Johnson, once said, your talent evaluator is the most important person that you have to hire. It's one of those things that's going to make or break your program. And, it just starts in South Carolina, Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, Florida. You got to get those, Southeast states if you want to have a really good football program. Even if you look at, some of the, take a program like Clemson, I know Clemson's not PC, but they kind of, emphasize that same recruiting footprint, doing the I-95 corridor, recruiting the Southeast, getting players to come to Clemson. And you look at Clemson right now, one of the best programs in college football. And to a lesser extent, I do think, PC has to follow that approach. And the second way that PC, I think Kevin Kelley needs to win is he's got to build a program. He's got to build a positive culture, and he's got to, relate to the players. Now, there is a 3-hour documentary on Kevin Kelley on YouTube. I highly recommend if you're a big football fan or want to know more about him. If you're a PC person and you don't really know who Kevin Kelley is, I recommend watching it. I know it's 3 hours. It's kind of in the same length of a Martin Scorsese movie, but it's really good. Learning about Kevin Kelley, and I think, based on my observation watching it, I do think, Kevin Kelley, does relate to his players well. And you know what? I think that's really important because, look, I understand wins and losses are important, but, successful culture is key in rebuilding a program because oftentimes it may be a major factor if a coach succeeds or fails at a school. And it doesn't matter. Well, it's important you have, good players, but, you can have the best player at every position on your roster, but if you don't coach them well, if you don't care for them, if you don't build, if you don't have a standard, then you're not going to win a lot of football games. And I think, watching this documentary I've been watching, I think Kevin Kelley has done that. And, I feel like for PC, in terms of the programming build, I think that's a really, really big benefit, for Kevin Kelley in this new PC football program. And I think a third way, he's got to build excitement in this program because, PC football has been on the down course for a really, really long time. It's just not a lot of excitement. If you go on campus, if you talk to students about football, they're not really as passionate. And, I think Kevin Kelley has to change that because, Clinton's kind of a small town, that have to rely on, small businesses and local people, supporting one another. And, if PC football can, establish something that they can win on a consistent level and can compete, then, I think that can really bring a big boost not only to the PC community, but Clinton, Lawrence County, and it can really help all the small businesses. and can bring, a big economic boost. And I think, if you can bring that excitement back, then hopefully you can be in a position that, you can win games, you can compete in the Pioneer League, possibly go to FCS playoffs, and maybe thereafter become a scholarship football program again. It's not going to happen overnight, but, if you can build on momentum, try to build positive days over another, then I really think Kevin Kelley can get this program to good heights. And then, it really, bottom line, that's how much work needs to be done. Because, look, given the fact, you look at some of these smaller schools in the state of South Carolina, Coastal Carolina, I know they jumped to the FBS level, but, you look prior to pre-FBS, they built their program, they won conference championships, they had winning seasons, and they built, the season they had last year. The Citadel was another program, Furman, Wofford. If you look at the Division II level, North Greenville is a program that has, similar, maybe a worse job than PC, but, I mentioned those schools because, they're kind of similar to PC's footprint. And, I do think this is a tough job. There's a lot of work to do. But, if those schools can win, with similar resources, and I do think, PC can win at the conference level and can get there. Now, despite the losses, like I said, look at this Pioneer preseason poll, they're ranked 5th, and, you're kind of in the upper portion of the Pioneer Football League Conference, and you look at the teams ahead, you beat Drake, San Diego, you played competitive, you beat Davidson, I think you split them 1-1, and then the only team you didn't play is Dayton, but, look at those teams, those are teams you can beat, and then I will say, PC had a really competitive football team last year. I think, there were some games that they should have won, but, they played really, really competitively. And I think, you got to build that momentum in for this upcoming season. Coach Kelley wants to have a successful fourth season, and that starts, with winning the classroom, winning on the practice field, winning games, bringing excitement, doing more with less, building the program, and it's just got to be competitive. And I think, if they can do that, success will come. And overall, we'll see. I'll be in attendance this Saturday for PC Fan Day, which they're going to have a scrimmage of the football team. I think their second practice, and then they'll have some autograph sessions afterwards. So it'll be interesting to watch to see how this football team plays this upcoming season. And another program at PC that's kind of, have a lot of positive momentum swing is their PC baseball program. PC and Elton Pollock made their first ever NCAA Baseball Tournament back in the summer by winning the Big South Conference Championship back in Fayetteville, their first ever in school history. Unfortunately, they lost both games in the NCAA tournament. Vanderbilt, who ended up finishing as the runner-up, they lost to Mississippi State in the College World Series final. And again, to former Blue Hills coach Tim Corbin, who's the baseball coach at Vanderbilt, and Indiana State as well in the National Regional. But look, I watched some of PC's baseball games in person last year, and, I thought, they were a fun team to watch. I thought this was a team that could score really well. They could get some runs batted in. They could get some stolen bases. I thought offensively they played well. I thought the key for this baseball team was on the defensive side. Can they get, some balls in the outfield? Can they strike out some batters at bat? Can they play well on the defensive side of baseball? They were kind of team, they kind of took maybe 2 steps and they took a step back. It was kind of an average, season. And, I watched your series against Auburn, early on last season, and I thought they played really well, because considering, Auburn baseball is in the SEC. SEC is well known for baseball. But, they turned around, they won the Big South Conference Tournament back in Fayetteville. And, I'm really happy for Elton Pollock, because he's been there, since 2005. That's a really long time. And, PC, kind of never had, success until later, late this past decade. He was close a few times to making the NCAA Baseball Tournament. Unfortunately, it just didn't bounce his way. But, and I'm glad, because, doing my research, I think he's a really good baseball coach. And, I think him being at BC is really good for that program. And, he's been close a few times. And I'm happy to see him finally get over that hump. And, looking at these, games that they lost, Vanderbilt, was a really good baseball team. In my opinion, the best college baseball program in the country. They had 2 great pitchers in Kumar Rucker, who, originally got drafted by the Mets, but unfortunately, that didn't work out well. But hopefully, I do think, he's going to be a really good MLB player in the near future. And Jack Leiter, who got drafted by the Texas Rangers. But really, both these guys got drafted high in the MLB draft, and I think, they're going to have really long baseball careers. And same as Indiana State as well. It's kind of similar to PC, a little bit bigger, but still, that's kind of, a really good program as well. So what does this mean? And look, you do lose some good players, Zacharias Raspberry, Jake Brandon, David Sweat, Kyle Benson, but you do have some good team. You have a good team coming back. Chris Beach got freshman honors, Charles McDaniel, Jeremiah Boyd, Brady Farr, Landon Shaw, Eric Toff. You got some really good players coming back. And, I will say, by winning the championship, there's going to be people are going to play their best, because they want to get a taste of your success. But, I do think this is a really good thing for the program and really for the school because, got some Kevin Kelley, like PC winning the Big South Baseball Tournament and getting to the NCAA Tournament, I think that's really big for that school, considering, we're still in a pandemic, a lot of schools have lost money, and trying to get your name out there, I think that's really big for that school. And, really it's big for the program. You kind of bring that excitement back into the program. They're already going to get stadium lights back at the baseball stadium, which you're going to have some night games. You never had that previously in PC's history, but I think that's really good for that program. And, I'm excited to see this baseball team, take the next step because, I think the goal for this baseball team is, can you repeat? Can you get back to the Big South? Every baseball team plays the Big South tournament, but I'm saying, can you get back to that final where you can win and maybe get back to the NCAA baseball tournament and possibly, you're probably not going to win the opening game because you're probably going to be seen against a really high, team like Vanderbilt, but, say after that series, you play at some other team like Indiana State, and then, if you play well, do everything you're supposed to do, and then you get a rematch, and, it's not always the case that if you face the same team, 2 times in the season, that, the team that you lost to automatically wins tries. It sometimes splits 1-1. Look at the Super Bowl, for example. Kansas City and Tampa, played in the regular season. Kansas City dominated them in the regular season, but you look at the Super Bowl, Tampa Bay not only won, but they won in an even more dominating fashion. So, really, going back, I think this really is huge for the program, and I think the main key now is, can you build that positive energy for this baseball programs, but can you advance further, maybe have a better record in the Big South Conference regular season. Maybe you do really good in a non-conference season. Maybe you pull off an upset against a team you're not supposed to win in a non-conference portion of the season. And then when you get into the NCAA tournament, maybe, you pull an upset in a regional, and then maybe you have an opportunity to advance to the Supers, and God forbid, maybe go to the College World Series finals in Omaha. So, really good season for PC baseball, and, I do really feel like, the future is really, really bright for that program. But that's going to conclude it for this episode. I kind of wanted to get something off the ground because, I don't want to get back to campus, back to radio stations, be all rusty. I kind of want to go ahead and get prepared for myself to be in a position, try to get the motorcade going and, trying to build off the positive energy. Because, sometimes when you take a break from something, you kind of a little bit rusty, so it takes a little bit. But, I'm trying to do something, that's why I kind of wanted to put this episode out. Because, those were kind of the 2 things spin on my mind. And, I felt like, it's really, I think it impacts PC a lot. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with the football program and the baseball program. But make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We decided to create a YouTube channel now, which we're going to put, a lot of our podcasts and our shows on. So in case you forget to listen on the Radio FX app, you can go to our YouTube channel, and you can watch as many episodes of this or any other future podcasts and shows we post as many times as you like. And make sure to please subscribe to our Instagram account, which is lowercase _WPCX, so lowercase, and our Twitter, @collegewpcx. We're trying to be on the lookout because we're going to probably be posting a lot of content once, academic year starts and everything's going to fruition. So, we're very excited about the social media accounts, and I'll say this: if you're a new student coming to PC, or if you're a returning student, I hope you really enjoyed this video. And if you're looking for a club or anything, please strongly encourage to join us. We're looking to hire some new student personalities, on-air personalities, and also some leadership roles. So, if you want someone to boost your resume and you want to do, content of your choice, get paid for your work, I strongly encourage you to consider joining WPCX, and really the other student medias as well. Blue Stocking is looking for some leadership roles as well. Bluetooth got some really good plans as well. Picks and Thistles is kind of a literary magazine if you're interested in doing poetry or something like that. That's another student media to join. I strongly recommend, especially if you're a new PC student watching, to try to take as many clubs as you can and strongly consider joining student media, because we're trying to build something at PC. Part of my job as station manager is try to take this radio station to the next level, kind of similar to what Kevin Kelley is doing with the football program. And the most students we have, the better this journey will be. And I'm very excited to see the future of this station. And I could say working on the station over the summer, I'm very hopeful for the progress for this upcoming school year. So, alrighty, gotta go ahead and finish packing. If you live in Lawrence County and you follow LawrenceCountySports.com, I'm going to be covering the Pendleton at Clinton game this Friday night. And for any high school football fans going to any high school football games this weekend, please stay safe. I know, since compared to last year, a lot of fans are going to be back in the stands, so I really hope you have a good time, but please stay safe. Move-in is also this weekend for PC students. Hope everyone has a safe trip back to Clinton and enjoy your new dorm room as well, and hopefully all goes well with move-in. And please come out to PC Fan Day as well. I've been talking to my boss at Lawrence County Sports if I'm going to be writing about PC Football Day. I'm probably going to go every way. I'm writing about the event or as a fan and see about this PC football, because I think this is a really good time to support the program. I think it's really going to be interesting to see how this football team in Kevin Kelley's tenure at PC plays out. But I am Mitch Mercer. Once again, last friendly reminder, please follow us on Instagram or Twitter and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I hope to see all of you again next time on the Mitch Zone. I don't know what the next episode will be. I may do an episode on name, image, and likeness. I'm not sure. I know that's something that's been impacting college athletics as well. And then obviously, for my SEC fans, you've seen that Texas and Oklahoma has joined leagues, and the impact of that may trickle down to PC, and really all this conference realignment and the possibility of the Power 5 conferences bring for the NCAA. So really a lot of news occurring over the summer, but part of my job is doing this podcast to break down and try to make sure it makes sense to you as a viewer. So alright, everybody, I'm Mitch Mercer signing off. I hope all of you have a good weekend, whether you're going to high school football games, you're moving in, or experiencing PC Fan Day, or whatever else. I hope all of you have a great rest of your weekend. We are going to see you next time on the Mitch Zone. And you guys have a great rest of your weekend. We'll see you, everybody.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check us out on the Radio FX app by subscribing to Presbyterian College.